firmly opposed to the belief that white people are born racist and need to unlearn their racism.
Who says that white people are born racist? Seriously, like, who's saying that? Did he just make that up? Is there a movement trying to cancel white babies that I'm unaware of? How come his followers don't ask these simple questions? If you're a white baby born in this country at this specific time in history, the babies aren't racist, as this person seems to be hearing from somewhere. The babies are born into a system built on racism. That same system that legalized race-based shadow slavery hundreds of years ago, and the same system that today is responsible for the racial wealth gap and disproportionate rate of incarceration.
And having heard ideas like that propagated by the left, I took it upon myself to fight against it.
Ideas like what? The white baby racist thing? See, the problem with people like him, they start off with a premise that is stupid, not to mention wrong. When you start off with a premise that is stupid, you're going to end up with even stupider solutions. Now, he's off to fight against a problem that only exists because he made it up. What type of sense does that make?
Since 2018, I've been creating social media posts and content that encourages people to stand up against all forms of racism, including racism against white people. I believe it's okay to be white. I believe it's okay to be black. I believe it's okay to be any skin color that God made you in, because God doesn't make mistakes. And I believe that racism against white people is just as problematic as racism against black people or any other race.
There are two types of racism that exist: individual racism and systemic racism. He's only referring to the individual racism. I mean, he has to be. When you say racism against white people is just as problematic as racism against black people and any other race, you show that you don't have a grasp on the white supremacist version of racism. I'll try to give you that grasp though. Individual racism normally manifests itself in the name-calling variety, the overall being mean to someone based on their race. I don't like them because they are blank. Look at that blank over there, etc. That sort of individual racism has no real power on an individual level. Systemic racism, on the other hand, has the power to create wealth gaps, create disproportionate incarceration rates, create resource-deprived communities, limit access to quality education and health services. There's no comparison. The systemic racism here is why we see one race of people who endure these conditions more than any other race. If you think there's another reason for this discrepancy, I'm all ears. When it comes to him and people like him, it seems to me that they aren't really looking for a solution, but looking to push a talking point. The white supremacist talking point of racism is all the same and everybody does it to each other. That talking point's aim is to minimize the harm the system has done and continues to do. If you can show the group of white people in the same condition in this country based on standards, laws, and or practices aimed at white people with the intent to keep them in that condition, then I would agree with you that racism towards whites is just as bad as racism towards blacks or any other race. But don't bother looking for that because you're not going to find it. You'll probably be too busy anyway fighting that white racist baby thing. Good luck with that.